Afarensis lived 4.2 to 3.9 million years ago, and they lived in eastern Africa. One of their accomplishments was bipedal walking. Their brain size was 450 to 500 cc.
A few moments later.
A. afarensis lived 3.85 to 2.95 million years ago in eastern Africa. They had strong arms, curved fingers for climbing trees, and arched feet for walking, and their fossils were found in Ethiopia. Brain size was 500 cc. Here we can see a comparison between Lucy, which is A. afarensis, and a modern human.
Many months later.
Homo habilis lived 2.4 to 1.4 million years ago in eastern and southern Africa. The fossils were found in Kenya, and its brain size was 640 cc. They were the first of the species to make sharp tools.
Several bad puns later.
Homo erectus lived 1.89 million to 143,000 years ago. They were the first to create fire, and they had more muscle because of more protein in their cooked meat, and they cared for the old and for the weak. Their brain size was 900 cc. They lived in Asia, Africa, and in Europe as well.
Meanwhile,
Homo heidelbergensis lived 700 to 200,000 years ago, and their brain size was 1/200. They looked like us proportionally, and they had good cognitive function, so it meant that they were smart, and they hunted big game. They lived in Europe, in China, and in Africa.
2 hours later.
Neanderthalensis lived 400 to 40,000 years ago and had a brain size of 1,400 cc. They wore clothes, and they had a spoken language that they used with each other. They lived in Europe and in Central Asia.
Eventually,
Homo floresiensis lived 95 to 17,000 years ago and had a brain size of 380 cc. They had small brains and small bodies and were often nicknamed hobbits, and this is due to the amount of resources that they had were diminished since the Ice Age was going on. They lived in Asia.
So much later that the old narrator got tired of waiting and they had to hire a new one.
Homo sapiens have lived since 200,000 years ago. We've discovered electricity, and we've done some pretty cool stuff, because I mean, like, who doesn't do that on their like regular day-to-day? Like, totally gonna jump, 1, 2, 3, woo, yay, ah, jumping. And we live on this pretty cool planet called Earth, where everything is pretty cool, more or less, except that we're basically ruining everything, and we have a brain size of 1,300 cc. This is our family tree, which goes from A. animensis to Homo sapiens, which is us. Ice Age, also known as a bottleneck, which happened 60 to 30,000 years ago, and thousands of square miles of glaciers formed, which created land bridges allowing early hominids to cross into the Americas, Japan, Australia, and Malaysia, and it helped with the discovery and mastery of fire. The founder effect happened when early hominids traveled to Australia in a boat that was pretty similar to this one. Just kidding, they probably didn't go in a boat like this one, but let's imagine that they did. And this occurred 50,000 years ago, and they were considered to be the first explorers. And National Geographic even says that they arrived on primitive boats or rafts pretty, similar to the one we're seeing now. And they probably had similar experiences, just like crashing into Australia.